Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum. I welcome you, dear students, in Pakistan International School Thais virtual learning system. And this is biology class for grade first year. And this is lecture number 25. Dear students, today we are gonna start chapter number 4, bioenergetics. And in bioenergetics, you know that we study two main metabolic systems of the body, that is photosynthesis and respiration. So today's lecture is about photosynthesis. Actually, in this we will see introduction and role of some important factors in the photosynthesis. So let's get started. So this is chapter number 4 on your book, that is bioenergetics, and we will see photosynthesis and respiration. Dear students, you know that bioenergetics is actually the quantitative study of energy relationship in biological systems and in biological or living organisms. So photosynthesis is having a very vital role in the living organisms. Which type? Because that is specific for the plants. So we will, and plants, we know that they are the major source of energy production in the living organisms. So photosynthesis means, photo means light and synthesis means preparation or formation. So with the help of light, plants produce their food and later its utilization in the energy production. So if we just see through the photosynthesis, so that is a redox process in which carbon dioxide, um, which is an oxidized form of carbon, it is reduced into glucose. So if you see through this process of photosynthesis, so you can see that with the help of sunlight, plants use carbon dioxide as well and water from the roots, and they produce oxygen and carbohydrates, that is in the form of glucose. Actually, carbohydrate is the reduced form of carbon and oxygen is oxidized form of water. So the both reactions like oxidation and reduction reactions are going on side by side. So we say that this reaction is, or this process is a redox process, or a redox reactions are going on in this process. So we know that carbon dioxide is taken from the stomata and water taken from the roots, and it's going to the leaves, because leaves are the food factories, we can say that. Like it is production of carbohydrates occur in the leaves. So in the leaves there is chloroplast. We know in the chloroplast we are having, which is present in the cells, green organelles, and in that you can see these are thylakoids, and in the thylakoid photosynthesis process is done. So you can see this whole process and how this all process is done. This is not actually the simple one. This is a very complicated process. Lots of enzymes are utilized in this process, in this reaction, for oxidation reduction reaction. So you can see here in this equation that carbon dioxide, it is in the oxidized form, but it reduces this uh, by the reduction of this carbon dioxide. What happened? Glucose is produced, and that is C6H12O6, and water is present in the reduced form, and oxidation of water produce oxygen. So oxygen, which it just removes out from the plant's body, as well as water by the transpiration, and oxygen through stomata, and that oxygen is used for inhaling. Okay, so in this reaction, certain things are involved, which are sunlight, pigments, water, and carbon dioxide, as we have seen in the previous diagram. So we will see all of them one by one in detail in this chapter. So the sunlight, which is an magnetic form of energy, if we see its a full range, it's not only that which we can see that is visible light, but all the radiations which we cannot see, they are also included in the wavelength, in this light, in the sunlight. So that all is completely, that is called electromagnetic spectrum, in which we are having gamma rays, x-rays. We know that we are using it for different types of treatments and diagnosis in our medical branch. Ultraviolet radiations, they are said to be ionized radiations. And then we are having infrared rays, radar rays, which are used for like in the for the military purpose. And uh, then we are having FM rays, like radio waves, TV for this, and short waves. And all these magnetic rays, they are used for our purposes, our daily life, as like for the TV, for radars, for radio, all of these. So this completely is called electromagnetic spectrum, but very small portion of that light which reaches to us on our ground, and we can assume that that is sunlight, actually, that is reaching to our earth. And that is 380 nanometer to 750 nanometer, that is having the wavelength, that is visible light, that we can see through our naked eye, but other we cannot see through our naked eye. So this completely is called electromagnetic spectrum. So you can see here electromagnetic spectrum very clearly, that there are ionizing radiations, and here non-ionizing. So ultraviolet, X-rays, gamma rays, these are called ionizing radiations, and we can use them for different purposes. X-ray machines are radioactive elements, for example. And then we are having infrared, microwaves, radio waves, and extremely low frequency waves, like they are called AM as well. So they are used for our different purposes, like you can see that we are using for microwave ovens, TV, and radars, as well as radio. So in photosynthesis, which light is used? That is definitely visible light which is used here. So that is like the graphical representation of that light, that is called action spectrum of photosynthesis. Like here we can have the photosynthetic rate, or the light, because we know that light is split into 7 colors. So when we just go through these by different experiments, so we can see that visible light, which is having different absorption, or different action on photosynthetic pigments, or in the photosynthesis, that is called action spectrum. So a graph which shows the effectiveness of different wavelengths of light for process of photosynthesis, that is called action spectrum. So different analysis shows that action spectrum, that indicates that blue light, which is this one, like from here, this is peak. It means that is mostly absorbed or mostly effective for photosynthesis process, as well as from here, this range, this is more effective for photosynthesis. So we can say that blue, that is violet blue, that of the range 430 nanometer, and that is orange red light, that is a 670 nanometer, that is most effectively used in a photosynthesis by photosynthetic pigments because they absorb most of this range light. Okay, so the light which is absorbed by different like pigments, and they those wavelengths show different effectiveness, that is called action spectrum, that is indicated on the graph. So now we will see the role of photosynthetic pigments. Photosynthetic pigments, they are having like they are of different types of the pigments, like pigments at that substance which absorbs light energy. So all the wavelengths which are absorbed by the pigments are disappeared, like the pigments, when they absorb the light, that color disappears, and then we the color which we can see in the like in the plants, that is mostly reflected one, so reflected back into our eyes. So mostly green color is reflected back into our eyes. That's why we can see that these plants are green in color. So the pigments or photosynthetic pigments, or the molecules of the pigments, they are embedded in a thylakoid membrane. Here we can see there are different photosynthetic pigments. So these pigments, some are principal, very important, some are accessory pigments. So in that, and if we see just very important one, that is chlorophyll. Chlorophyll A in green plants, and bacteria chlorophyll in bacteria in place of chlorophyll A. And in accessory pigments which help this chlorophyll A for its proper absorption of the light, that is chlorophyll B, C, D, and up to we are having E also. Carotenoids and phycobilins. Carotenoids are of different types, that is carotene and xanthophylls. We will discuss about them. Phycobilins, we are having phycoerythrin and phycocyanin. So these are some of the pigments, and these pigments, in that the principal one is chlorophyll, and in chlorophyll we are having chlorophyll A. Green and yellow are the least absorbent color in the pigments, and blue and violet and orange red wavelength that is mostly absorbed by the pigments. So chlorophyll, with chlorophyll A and B, we are having chlorophyll C, D, and E as well, while photosynthetic bacteria, that is having bacteria chlorophyll, which we have seen before. Its common formula or its molecular structure is denoted by C55H72O5N4Mg, that is for B, sorry, chlorophyll A, and for B there is 2 H minus, like it is 70H and 6 O. So the difference is in this place. When we just see its structure, then you can understand how does it form the structure. Okay, so let's talk about structure of chlorophyll. Chlorophyll is composed of head and tail. It is having one head, which is almost the circular one, and two tails. One is longer and other is shorter. Inside, it is having magnesium as a cofactor, and it is linked with nitrogen. Actually, chlorophyll is having nitrogen atoms is present at the corners with four pyrrole rings. This is one pyrrole ring. This one is other. So just we count from here where this functional group is attached. Number one, this is number two, and this is number three, and this is number four. So four pyrrole rings are present. Pyrrole rings means it is having four carbons in the ring, and the fifth one is nitrogen, and all these four nitrogens are attached with the magnesium. So chlorophyll A and B is having the difference at pyrrole ring number 2, where there is attached methyl group in chlorophyll A and aldehyde group in chlorophyll B. So this ring is actually hydrophilic in nature, and that is present at the we can say this is, if this is a thylakoid, so it is present this way on the membrane of the thylakoid. So it is embedded in the thylakoid membrane. If we just talk about its this all tail, so this tail is called phytol chain. In phytol chain, there are two chains, one long chain. It is made up of terpenoid alcohol phytol. Terpenoid phytol alcohol. So you can see here, in the previous chapter, we have seen terpenoids and terpenes. So that is diterpene. Diterpene means it is having one and two. This is called monoterpene, and this is 3 and 4. So these are 4 terpene units are present. That is called diterpene alcohol. That is phytol. So this phytol tail, that is hydrophilic in nature, and this is esterified with propionic acid. This is propionic acid. This one actually propionic acid, with which it is esterified, like it makes the ester bond with fourth pyrrole ring. This is fourth pyrrole ring. Then the second tail is attached between the 3 and 4 fourth ring, that is pyrrole ring, and it is attached with methyl, so that is called methyl ester tail. This is hydrophobic in nature, that's why it is present inside this stroma, or inside, we can say inside the membrane, and that is used for anchoring this pigment in the membrane or thylakoid membrane. So let's talk about the next one, that is carotenoids. Carotenoids are also terpenoid lipids, which we have seen in chapter number 2. Carotenoids are of different types, which we have seen before. So actually they are yellow, orange, red, or brown pigments. So they are present in those vegetables and fruits which reflect these colors. That's why we can see these colors on these fruits. For example, carrots, for example, we are having tomato, pumpkin, which are having a red to orange or yellow color. So they absorb light, mostly blue and violet range, and they can be seen when there is before a leaf fall, because that is having this type of pigments and colors as well. We can see them. So carotenoids, they are called accessory pigments, as we have seen in the previous diagram, with a chlorophyll B, and it just absorbs a blue-violet range of light, and then it gives all the energy to chlorophyll A. Carotenoids are of two types, carotenes and xanthophylls. So carotenes are orange-red pigments. So orange-red pigments means they are present in photosynthetic eukaryotes, and they are like the fruits and vegetables which are red and orange in color, because it reflects these colors. As well as there are xanthophylls. Xanthophylls are also having yellow in color, and they are also made up of isoprenoid units. And xanthophylls, they are present in mostly the foliage in autumns. And very important xanthophyll is lutein. Lutein is the Latin word luteus. It means yellow. Yellow, so it means that is having yellow pigments, and it is mostly found in the leafy vegetables. As well as carotenes is beta carotene, that is very important carotenoid, which is present mostly in orange to yellow or reddish vegetables and fruits. For example, carrots, which is very important, um, like a component. So let's talk about absorption spectrum. In the action that we have seen, action spectrum, we have seen that there are different wavelengths which are absorbed by different pigments, like according to its effectiveness. So when we take this graph of this all pigments, all the wavelengths and the absorption by the pigments, so in the form of graph, that is called absorption spectrum. So scientists have taken this by spectrophotometer, and by certain ways they have taken lots of readings by spectrophotometer. So you can see this. Here, this is spectrophotometer. In that, the sample of pigments is placed and the beam of light is passed inside this one, this sample, and here we can get the reading of absorption of this different wavelengths of the light. So you can see here in this graph, that is absorption spectrum, and you can see chlorophyll A. Here we can just make it just a little smaller. Yes, chlorophyll A, this type of wavelength, we have seen that violet to blue, that is 400 nanometer to 470 nanometer, that is absorbed by chlorophyll A and chlorophyll B. So you can see the green color is absorbed or least, and carotenoids absorb this type of wavelength, which is in this range. You can see this high peak. Phycoerythrin, erythrin means red, so that absorbs the red color in this range, like between 5 to 600 nanometer. Then very important that because our accessory, all are accessory pigments, but important is chlorophyll A, which just absorb this bluish light here, and here also orange to red. You can see orange red color, it is absorbed by chlorophyll A, that is 432 500 and 632 660 nanometer. So that is absorption spectrum. Okay, so you can see the arrangement of pigments in that. That is yes, that is thylakoid membrane, and that is lipid bilayer. So these are embedded. These pigments are embedded in the form of photosystem. We will discuss it later on. So these are embedded in this membrane, and the whole process is going on. So this is actually the photosynthesis process. How it is going to be done, we will see inshallah in the next topic in detail, and role of water and carbon dioxide as well. So that's it for today. Inshallah, we will see you in the next lecture. Allah Hafiz.